This is the Marketing Umbrella Podcast, where it's all about getting the information you need from successful leading marketers to build and grow your digital marketing agency. Brought to you by Itamar Shafir, founder and CEO of Umbrella, the technology platform and brand that is powering thousands of marketing agencies around the country. Find him at umbrellaus.com. And now, here's your host, Itamar Shafir.
Welcome to the Marketing Umbrella Podcast, where we talk with successful marketing experts about ways to build and grow a digital marketing agency. Our guest today is a best-selling author, a successful entrepreneur who founded several multi-million-dollar companies. He's a sought-after consultant and speaker with a following of more than 1.2 million. I'm excited to say hello to Mr. Matt Bacak. Hi, Matt.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Wow, I'm really excited to have you on, Matt. You are a digital marketer with so much experience. You know, we talked before. You told me you started in '97. You've been there for a very long time, and you're still very successful, which means you're doing a lot of things right. Right.
Means I made a lot of mistakes, is what it means, and I learned from them. But yeah.
You learn faster than you make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
So before we jump into your skill set as a marketer, and especially now, I know you're focusing on email marketing. You've always been doing email marketing, but we want to focus this session on that.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about your background, how you got started? I know it's very interesting, and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah. I mean, basically, I've pretty much been on. I mean, I grew up. I'm pretty lucky, in a sense that I grew up. Computers, were. I mean, I guess kids now grow up a little bit differently, but it was kind of cool when this new computer came out, right? So, I mean, I've been playing around with computers since I was even 12, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But I say that because back in the day when we had a lot of different things like the getting online, but I will probably say the biggest thing was, for me, when I first got started, we called it the information superhighway. Like there was no name, there was no digital marketing. And in fact, I had a marketing degree. I went to school and they called it the information superhighway. There's nothing on digital marketing. There was nothing on internet marketing. But I did realize a few things. I was reading a bunch of books and learning from a bunch of people. And I actually started off, which most people don't know this, I started off in more of the direct mail people. So I'm a direct response marketer is really what I am. I tell everybody, everybody knows me as an email marketer, but I really started off as a direct response marketer. I mean, and I started learning direct response marketing is one of the things I just gravitated towards because where I can really focus on measuring, tracking, looking at like I invest this money, I get this money back. And right. So when I first started, I made a big, huge mistake. And I think, and this was back in, a big mistake was I had tons of products and things to sell. I was actually selling cassette tapes, VHS tapes and stuff that I was getting from Kiyosaki when he first started. So Robert first started. So I was acquiring from them and selling these cassettes and VHS tapes and all this stuff. Some people maybe listen right now don't even know what I'm talking about. But because I have had people like, what is a cassette? It's like, oh, all right. But I say this is that's what I was offering online. I was selling information. I realized it was so powerful to be able to sell information. So I was selling information but I had a whole closet full. I was living in this dorm room, in my dorm room and stuff, but I had a whole closet full of stuff and nobody to sell to. And at that moment, it took me about 3 years of pounding my head on the wall to finally realize like, I need to have people to sell to. Right. And so that's when things switched. And that's when I actually ran into a billionaire. And this billionaire said something to me and he said this is where one thing changed my whole entire life, changed my whole, pretty much, it put me on a new direction was he said this, he said, if you want to make a decent income, you sell products and services, but if you want to become insanely rich, you create and control markets. And I was like, what in the world did he just say? It took me about 3 days to figure it out. Right. And then it hit me. It was like email marketing was at its infancy. Literally there was no opt-in page. There was no Google. There was no Facebook. There was no, it wasn't like what we know today. It was no Twitter. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, and I started building an email list and I started having more people than I had products. And I was like, oh, this is a good problem. And I had all these people that wanted stuff. And I started, testing new things out, going into different markets, building email lists and controlling my own little markets and my own little worlds online until I built it to about 1.2 million. And I told my wife one day, I was like, babe, we actually own a country. It's like, this is all, it's like, I mean, we can disseminate information at any moment in time, that we want. People will take action. They'll jump to whatever we're doing. And it was just like, oh, this aha. But I will say, that was probably, I mean, that's kind of a little, I guess a little bit of my background most people don't know about. I'm really just a jerk. I kind of, I do, everybody knows me for email marketing because I've been doing it for so long, but I did SEO and I did this and did that. And I've done a lot of things. And one thing that I will tell you, if anybody knows this, business is about control. And what used to drive me nuts is, things change, this change. Funny thing is, for me, email marketing is still the core engine of every business that I ever built, because it's the one thing we can control. Facebook, I've had my Facebook account shut down. I've had my Twitter account not really shut down, but I've had Google, try to shut down my Google AdWords account. I've had all this stuff happen to me. But the one thing I can actually just take my followers and move, and my people and move, is my email list. It's been the one most profitable thing that I've had throughout all these years, 25 years marketing online.
So, one of the things that this brings up is, I think a lot of people are asking right now, even though this is for digital marketing agencies, we'll go back to that, but I want to know, when you're starting out, you don't have a list.
Yeah.
And you want to build one, and can you give some tips on that?
Yeah. So I think for everybody, I mean, there's a couple different ways. I mean, since we're talking about agencies, and I've done a lot of work with agencies, just so you know, a lot of work. And there's a new trend, and I'll tell you guys about that here in a sec. But I will say, for a lot of agencies, I know you guys are doing, a lot of people are I don't know what you're teaching, but I know a lot of people do teach cold emailing and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the big thing is even if you're doing that, and I don't care, but if you get people, like, let's say if you even have a report, ethical bribe, something, even if you're using LinkedIn to communicate with people, getting people that might be interested in this, now they're calling them lead magnets. That's the new term, but, I guess that's the word of the day, or the word of the year. Ethical bribe, right? So if you've got something, an ethical bribe to get people, to get them to opt in, they're going to be a lot more hyperactive. And so, whatever, mechanism that you're using, or whoever you're using to be able to communicate with people, doing that even your signature files and everything else is a great, easy start for a lot of people that are, I'm thinking about agencies right now, is a great way to do that. Even running ads. So, for me, a lot of people don't think this way. And since I've been doing it about 20 years, I will tell you, I don't, for me, when I'm running ads, and just want to give people a high level to really think about this, is when I'm running ads, I don't run to time sensitive things. I want to get them to, I want to run to, I'm not going to run to a webinar or to a meeting and schedule an appointment or something like that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do that once I've got them in my world and get them to consume me, or get them to consume those things. And so, when you're crafting and creating this ethical bribe, this lead magnet, which we're calling today, it's very, I think, very, very important for a lot of people to realize, is not just giving something of value, and you have to do that, but also giving something that's going to plant the seeds in the minds of the people that are reading it. That's going to be like, you're the only one to go to. Like this, it's like, some kind of unique mechanism that's going to make people desire you, want to work with you, want to hire your company, want to, it's got to be built in the sense of that. So it doesn't matter how many people you have on your list. I mean, at the end of the day, what matters the most is having the right people, on the list that are just hot and hungry, for you. Because in the end of the day, most people don't realize this. There's three elements of the whole game that I found. Is if you got the list, you got the offer, the list, offer, and the copy, which we're gonna, the words we use. But 50% of the game is that list. The offers, about 30% of the game, and the copy is 20% of the game. So if you did build a list of people that are hot and hungry for something, you can have a kind of a decent offer and really crappy copy and still win the game. Now, if you don't have that, and this is one thing I tell a lot of people, if you don't have that list, guess what you have? You can create a killer offer, absolutely irresistible offer, with, great, irresistible offer with some great copy. I mean, you can get people just, crawling over broken glass, to want to work with you. So, I mean, so for people listening, I don't care if you're new, I don't care if you're old, like, if you can line up those three elements, the list, the offer, and the copy, you win. Right. That is where it's at. And that is where you win.
So we always go back to that. I think for a lot of members, especially a lot of people that are new to marketing, I think they get stuck a little bit in defining their unique selling proposition and defining their own voice. You've been copywriting for 20 years. Do you have some tips for listeners, for if I'm a small agency, for me to analyze myself and say, okay, this is how I spin myself to look unique? Are there any tips on that?
Well, you actually hit on it. Interesting, because if you were my brother and we were talking right now, I would just say, look, you're already unique, man. Like, whoever's listening, you're already unique. Like you already said it, adding yourself, right? So you're already unique in a sense. So, the uniqueness is you. The one thing is, I tell a lot of people is find your strengths, what you're strong at, what's something you're really good at, something in the history of your life, whether it doesn't even have to be relevant to that one thing. Like, even if, I was a Gold Glove champ. A lot of times I bring that into the conversation. Like, look, I look at it like, I'm going to the ring. When I used to step in the ring, I was the best friends with everybody. I was ranked 33 in the nation in fighting. I was number 1 in the state. Wow. So I tell people, I'm like, look, I look at it like boxing. When I step in the ring, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to freaking, do whatever it takes while I'm in there. And then that's exactly what I'm going to do for you. So how can you find some wins in your past life and in the life before and apply them, because that brings you up. I have a client that's, has a client that was a pilot. He tells people, it's like, look, my job is to get you to go to the skies, and he's like, I'm not, an ex-former pilot, now turned digital marketer. You've got an ex-boxer, now turned digital marketer. You got an ex, it's like, what, people will relate to that. Right.
I love it. That's amazing advice.
So I want to just tell everybody, he's like, look, find your wins in life and apply them to yours. You're going to have so much more fun. You're going to be so much more authentic. You're going to have, and people are going to be attracted to you because, like, you know what? I trust the pilot, because every time I fly, it's like, I always have to trust the pilot. So they're going to trust you even more. Right. So, and it's interesting because even with me talking about boxing, like people might not have boxed, and I get that, but people played sports and they get it. When you step in the ring, when you step in the field, when you step on the, on the court, when you step on this, they're just putting themselves in that environment, to make things happen. So I think, finding your wins is going to be, your past wins in your past life or before you were there, and just bringing them in so that they're very relatable to other people, and just look for the positive things and, make those things shine, throughout there. Like you can even use that when you're writing your copy. Like, when I used to box, one thing we always talked about is dominating on the fundamentals, like even with my son, and I tell people this all the time, like with my son came to me and he's like, Dad, can you teach me how to box? And I was like, well, I don't know if you know this, buddy, but I've been teaching you since the day you were born. Your feet are right all the time, but you're not going to know this. But I said, do you want to learn as a hobby? Do you want to learn to actually become a great fighter? And he said, I want to become a great fighter. I said, then great. First, we're going to work on your feet. Second, we're going to work on your stance. Third, I'm going to have you throw a jab. And until you throw 1,000 perfect punches, I'm not letting you go to the right. And he's just like, he said, okay, I'll do exactly what you say. I said, perfect. Because I'm not moving you to the next level until that happens. And that's what I tell my students. I was like, look, you got to have the fundamentals. We got to get those things sound. If we don't get those things sound, even like any sport you ever played, you can go out there and throw a jab, throw a jab and win a fight. You can throw a jab and right, just a 1-2 combination and you're fine. And the same thing is when people get crazy, this is where people make the biggest mistakes. They're looking for that uppercut, like, oh, let me do an uppercut. Well, like to be masterful, it's kind of hard. They're looking for that one trick play. It's like, no, get good at the fundamentals. We got to get customers in, get people, hot prospects in, and we got to turn them into, whatever, the next thing there. But it's not as hard as people think, and that's the big thing is I think a lot of people is they overthink about it. They overcomplicate it. And actually, I'm looking at my wall right here. I said, if you look for reasons it won't work, it won't work. If you look for reasons it will, it will. Like I wrote that over there on my wall. Because a lot of people, I think what's most important thing for a lot of people, and that's one of the reasons why I'll tell everybody listen to this podcast is great, because you're putting yourself in the position to win. So as you listen to anything that they're doing in other podcasts in the past or even podcasts in the future, think, how can I take one element, 2 elements, and put myself in the position to win? Because that's what the $1 million marketers do, is they're looking for things, they're going to put themselves in the position to win, because they're always thinking about how is it going to help me win even more.
Yeah, I love that. Amazing advice. And I'm going to pick up on the tactical, because right now we've defined you've defined how you create a uniqueness, how you create a brand, how you create an authority, and how you also build your mindset to look at the practical things and do it step by step and not trying to look for the silver bullet. Now, Yeah, which is critical, I think, and I think you're the first one that defined it really well.
Thanks.
And do you still do? And this is, I'm going back to tactical with email marketing. Do you still do also direct mailing, lumpy mail, and regular sales letters?
Actually, yes, and yes, and yes. However, you got to understand something about me. I'm a direct response marketer. So for me, for me, I do it a little bit differently. So I don't go out to a cold or warm. Don't go out to a cold list for any of my personally for my direct mail. We do a lot of we interesting enough. Talking about direct mail, I don't know if I have it here. One of my mentors, he recently passed away. It's in this, yeah. Actually, I got it right here. This is this gentleman right here. He sold $1 billion worth of stuff, right? His name is Ted Nicholas, and his family allowed me to take on the warehouse after he passed away. So I got all his books. This book sells for like $500, and this book sells for $300 on Amazon because there's no supply except for what I got. And anyway, but I say this because he always taught those methods to going out there and finding lists and sourcing lists and sending out direct mail. I took these concepts that he used and that he taught, and I do it a little bit differently. So when mine is basically when somebody responds. So once somebody's on my list and they do a response, then I'm sending it out. So I'm more reactive. Like, you've got to raise your hand, show me you're worthy to send that direct mail to. That is my whole thing. I'm not just going to send it to anybody just for the sake of anybody. I'm going to use what I do, and this is what I do, and this has been my concept since day one. Well, probably since year 2, but it feels like since day one. Is I get people online because it's the fastest, easiest, cheapest way to get people online, and then I take them offline as quickly as possible. When I say offline, it's getting them on the phone, getting them on the that's where money is made. Money is made as soon as I get them on a webinar, as soon as I get them. Money is made offline, right? Money is made online too, using all those concepts and those things, because of but the point is that I'll say is, when somebody does something, that's when we're going to send a direct mail pass. Somebody fills an application, right? And maybe they don't take advantage of the one offer that we have. We're going to send them something in the mail, right? That's going to be something to convince them to maybe call back. We're going to do things like that. But ours is reactive than it is proactively going out there.
And your triggers are basically money qualifiers, or are there something else? Like if the guy says I'm willing to invest X amount, would that be qualifier? Or you looking if he did like open the last 10 emails?
No. They got that's a vanity metric anyway. So yeah. The vanity things like awareness and opens and all that crap that doesn't really generate cash. I don't move. We don't move. My company doesn't move unless money moves, or unless we see money or smell money. And when we see money and smell money, it's going to be they bought a lower ticket product. Maybe we had a small end lower ticket thing that was maybe it's a book or something that they physically, we move when wallets move is the best way to say it. So when somebody invests, whether it's a small amount or something like that, we're going to do it. I don't listen to pie holes. I listen to wallets. So whatever, people will tell me a lot of things. Mostly, here's one thing we've done. I was one of the I'm not saying this, Dan Kennedy and a lot of guys and Dice, and if you know any of those guys or Brunson, they'd all say I'm like, was the first guy that taught them, Brunson and Dice for sure, was, get them offline, take them, get them off online and take them offline as quickly as possible. I taught them how to do, applications and get people to talk on the phone and stuff. I will say with that, one thing that we discovered over the years, I've been running apps and sales teams and huge sales teams for 20 years. Huge teams. So many teams that I used to have my own pilot and plane that flew me around to my other offices. And so I say that because one thing we discovered is what people say on applications and things like that. Or usually the people that don't have the money usually boast a little bit more. The people that do have the money actually go a little bit lower, they say more. So we pay attention to different things. So what I'll tell you when we're looking at ordering behavior, right? So if we're looking at ordering behavior, let's say we're using, maybe it's a book, a lead generator book that we're going to use for it. If we had to choose, we were going to want to make sure we look at the ones that are using an American Express over the people that are using Visa and Discover. because an American Express buyer, not everybody's American Express buyer. American Express buyers are usually, 10, if you actually go look at your data, anybody look at your data, if you go look at data historically, you will discover that the ones that invest more with you and keep on continually going up and spend more money with you usually are using their American Express to do it. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So what we're going to do is, if we got thousands of people to respond to a thing, we're going to go in there and identify which one's going to be probably the most ideal matches for us to even spend our time and energy to even send something out to them. So I say this so people really realize, like, I'm big into the data, right? I'm a direct sales marketer, so I want to find the subset of the perfect matches, for us to be able to, when we're going to be investing in it. I don't like to play with question marks. That's not a thing that we ever do in our business. I don't like to play with vanity metrics. I looked at, what is the most ultimate likelihood of them. There's software out there. There's things out there, like, you could use, if you got any buyer data, great thing you could always do is looking using something like Melissa data. There's another one, I think it's Data Tower or Tower Data. You got to look at that. I can't think of which one. I get it mixed up in my head. I got dyslexia, but there's one of those places where you can take it. You go take all your buyers or the people and upload them, and they're going to give you a whole persona of those people. Like, that's what I do. And so when you're talking about, even earlier, you're asking me, what do you do for, lead gen? Well, what I do for lead gen is I find those people that have taken that action, that's invest that money with us. We will take that, we will upload it, figure out who they are and where they hang out, and then go to that place.
This podcast is brought to you by Umbrella. Have an agency? Check out umbrellaus.com to grow it today.
So a lot of people are going to tell you, oh, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. I'm like, no. For me, I was like, I just listen to my data. My data tells me where to go. My data tells me where to, invest my time. My data tells me where to put my energy. I don't listen to pie holes. I don't listen to every person out there saying, oh, I need to go here and I need to go there. I'm like, well, you might need to go there, but I don't, because my data says that nobody's hanging out there. So why would I ever put a hot dog cart in the hood? It's stupid. I would go take a hot dog cart and go put it on freaking Wall Street. Like, it's just, like, why make it hard? Always put yourself in a position to win.
Yeah, completely. So if we're taking it to marketing services for a second, and because I'm trying to think what listeners are thinking, they're saying, because I know some of them are doing direct mailing, and they might be saying, okay, look, I'm selling high-end services, not high-end services, but I'm selling a $2,000 a month SEO campaign. I make on it 75%, $1,500 profit. I sell 12 months contract. A client is worth for me $24,000 with 75% margins. Should I still avoid a higher investment in direct, even if they don't take action? Would Matt still recommend me to email them first, try to see if they're biting, and then follow up? Or there are some situations where you just,
as long as you're targeting the right people, like, you probably got a demographic, you probably have, your ideal, target, right? I mean, your ideal person is going to be this criteria, as long as you're talking to the ideal people, that's the most important thing. The ideal, a lot of people, they try to go too broad, brought out there. And I just don't want anybody. I want the right people to be able to get, my thing. It's well worth, spending, if it's $2,500 a deal, you're making. I mean, I'd spend, 25. Even for me, I understand LTV, long-term value of a customer. So if I know I'm not just getting that one-time thing, but I know if I take care of them, I have customers that have been with me for 20 years. So, like, I had somebody the other day, they're like, I was with you in 2003. I'm like, oh my God, because I understand that if you treat them right, take care of them right, even though it takes you $2,500 to get somebody, I'll spend $5,000 if I know, after a while, once you're looking at your numbers, like, hey, they're well worth more than that, because they're going to move from that $10,000, $5,000 thing. Sorry, you said $2,500 thing to that maybe $25,000 thing later on down the road. So it's well worth the investment in the ideal people.
Okay, cool. So let's talk a little bit about your list building club. You have thousands or tens of thousands of people that are part of your community, and you're helping them basically become better email marketers.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely better email marketers. Well, whether it's generating leads, whether it's, writing emails, whether it's, all the components of email marketing.
And is that for going after specific niches? Do you
And
focus on something? Anything?
it's
like
not,
email
it's
marketing for
generic.
everybody.
Yeah, as long as people, my whole thing is if people understand, email marketing is a profit engine you simply can't ignore, then they're the right for it. But I will tell you, if they poo-poo the idea of email marketing and think it's going to die, which it hasn't died, and it won't die. And here's the reason I'll tell a lot of people listening right now. First of all, I'm going to tell you, we're still in the midst of this COVID crap. When COVID hit, I don't think people realize this, but COVID created an opportunity bigger than we've ever seen before in the history of my lifetime. Well, since history of email marketing. And in fact, here's what happened. If you saw the spike, more click-through rates went through the roof, open rates went through the roof, and still are. And here's the reason: because more people, when COVID hit, it created an amazing opportunity for everybody. Because if you think about this, it forced everybody online, not just in a certain area, all over the world. In order for people to get their, remember, people couldn't go into buildings, people couldn't go to restaurants, couldn't do all that stuff. They had to go order online. And where did the receipts go to? Their email address. People had to go generate email addresses. More people now have email addresses than they ever had before. And in fact, politicians are using email as a way to generate funds. Now, when politicians play a game, it just means they're going to write legislation, because the only thing that's going to ever kill anything that we do in digital marketing is the government. And that is the one thing that'll kill us. Well, or the company policies, but let's throw that out right now. But it is going to be government, right? And so because usually company policies will change because of government things. But let's just look at this: is now more people on Earth have more email accounts than ever happened before. More people are opening up email. Email now is being opened up more than it's ever happened before. A lot of people will fight against it, but the fact is, the truth is, email has been it's, first of all, it's free. Two, more people actually really pay attention to it, and more transactions are happening through emails now than ever. So I say this to let everybody know it's big. But here's the other thing for everybody listening: is understanding this creates another opportunity for everybody that even has an agency. Is because a lot of people, a lot of digital agencies that I deal with, and I'm not specifically talking to everybody here, but they're managing people's Facebook accounts, Twitter accounts, all these things, their LinkedIn accounts, SEO, blah blah blah, all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Where people miss the mark is actually helping people with their email accounts. Whether I've seen people now, I've got clients I have a company in New York. I'm in Atlanta right now, but a company in New York called the EPC Institute. It's earnings per click is really what it stands for, EPC. But it's a metric for email marketing. But it's called the EPC Institute. And there, one of the things that we do help, and we have helped a lot of agencies and get them into adding another component. And not saying anything about that because I don't have a specific thing on it, just to say, but coming to this aha that, hey, I can actually run another component for my customers, and that is their emails, managing their list and stuff like that. I've got people that are charging monthly payments for managing email accounts. I've got people that are charging a percentage of profits that are pulled in from email. Right. So that it's a pretty cool, opportunity for a lot of people, but it's also very powerful to get those particular clients.
Yeah. So in that group, in the list building club, is that a course you would go into, or are you guys doing weekly meetings?
It's whatever. We don't do anything. Actually, just ask questions, and there's 27. There's some of the most brilliant marketers in there. They just answer questions. That's all it is. It's a free group. For people to just, here's the question I got, and then people just come in and share their answers, and you get tons of responses. It's kind of like a forum, in a sense, just a private forum. It's a private group that I have, that I just created years ago, and I just kind of monitor it and answer when I feel I need to jump in. But people just say, hey, here's this and here's that, and you throw ideas on the wall and it's, there's no really incentive except for go to a place where you can ask questions, get help from email marketing, list building, things like that.
So guys, go on Facebook, find a group, List Building Club, and sign up. Tell them that you're from the Marketing Umbrella podcast, and they'll give you a free. No, I'm kidding.
It's free account.
Yeah, it's free account. I wanted to ask you about ethical email marketing.
Yeah.
Right. Some people hear the word ethical, they hear the death of conversions. Some people hear the word ethical, like you probably, and they hear value in conversions. Where is something ethical, but still converting in the sense that it's very marketerial, salesy?
I kind of don't. Everything should be ethical, so I'm kind of not hearing the question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll be blunt.
Yeah, do it.
I get a lot of emails.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do. A lot of people get solicited by emails.
Yeah. So,
but soliciting is not being ethical, but when marketing twists reality a little bit. Now, up to a specific point, it is okay. It is called marketing. Beyond a specific point, it's considered a lie or unethical. Where is the place that you obviously I'm not going to do the black and white, because obviously if you're just saying that you have Rolex watches to sell and they're not Rolex, then you're just a scam artist. I'm not going all the way there. I'm talking about the finer points where you create scarcity, for example, that maybe is not there. Right? Maybe it's not there.
There's a lot of that shit. I'm sorry, my language. There's a lot of that stuff. So this is what I tell people: the greatest copy you can ever write is the truth. So that's why I'm kind of not like taking in so it's got to there's got to be a truth. I just did a special call to a group I have, and I was just telling people, it was and that's funny because we were literally just talking about using time, and I was talking about, you got to have a reason why. There's got to always be a reason why you're doing something, right? So, and it's got to be true. And the more true it is, the more it's going to be, people are going to, people can smell BS anyway, and so the more true it is. For example, I did something a while back. I was like, hey, I'm flying to Singapore. It takes me 20 hours to get there. So when I get back in about 20 hours, I'm going to be back. I'm going to go to my office and I'm going to take this thing down. So it's the truth, right? So with adding in a reason why. So a lot of people don't realize that when the reason why is true, it's going to be a lot better. If you're using urgency and scarcity, especially if you're using limited, there's got to be a reason for that limit.
Right.
So and I was even talking about this, so the moment in time where I'll use a limit, right? A limit of things. So it's like, hey, I can only take on 10 people. I mean, the truth is, maybe I could take on more, but the fact is, and I tell people, here's the deal. I could probably take on more, and just tell the truth. I could take on more people, but here's the thing. I want to be able to serve those 10 people. I want to be able to serve them with the best, come from a place of service. I want to be able to serve them and give them my heart and soul and be able to put my energy in this one thing. So if I added in any more, it wouldn't work. And in fact, and then the thing is, here's the thing, because there is this crap out there, I find that after you do whatever you're going to do, you got to prove that you did what you said you're going to do, because we do live in a world where people don't believe everything we say. That is the biggest problem. Proof is the key to a lot of stuff. I think it's being truthful and proof, so, I do these things called dime sales where people will buy and then they keep on buying, price goes up. That's managed by something else. That is probably the most truest form of urgency and scarcity that I like to use. And then I do events, right? So I do an event. Well, I'll go show a picture of my conference room and say, we're going to do it in the conference room. And I'll take a picture and say, hey, you can see there's only 12 seats around here. I'm going to take one. So that means there's 11 left. And once they're full, they're done. And then I'll actually go right on the thing, put their names next to the people. I won't put their last names. I'll say Joe, John, Jane, Jamie.
Oh, I love it.
And then doing things like that is going to make it I think, for a lot of people, I think, a lot of people, the truth is going to always set you free. The truth is going to be the best thing. People will be more gravitated to you for a longer time if you always tell the truth. One of the things that I found that works best for me is just teach from the footsteps I walk through. And then the other side of it too is when I'm offering anything, I think of it. I think about my brother. I think about somebody I care about. I think about somebody I love. I think about, my mom. My mom used to buy stuff for me years ago. She'd get on there and get on teleseminars before we did webinars, and was like, buy something. I'm like, oh, and so now I'm like, okay, would I be okay with my mom buying this? Would I be okay with my mom? Is this something that I would, could I convince my mom? But I won't do that now. But I never really did it. But with this, if I really truly cared about the people that are on the other side, that person that I'm marketing to, because in the end of the day, we're really marketing to one person. And a lot of people, even if we're gonna write a mass email or send out a mass email, there's one person on the other end, and that one person is the one they want. That's the one that I'm going to be, communicating with. That's what I do. And if I there's one thing that can't be shared, and this is the most powerful secret of all, and it's so right there in front of us, which you're even hitting on, is you got to prove to your people that they can trust you. And if you prove to them that they can't trust you, they're going to be gone. And that, if they can't trust you, the one power that can't be taught is trust. And so, but the one thing that we got to keep on doing is if you have clients and customers that trust you, that know that you're not going to bullshit them, that you're going to take their best interest, that you're going to help them, and if you make a mistake, that you didn't do it on purpose. If you led them down the wrong road, it wasn't purposeful. If they know that about you, they're going to love you forever. And so having that, telling the truth, sharing the truth, and really coming from a place of unconditional love to every person that you have, whether it's what you write, they'll feel it through your copy. They'll feel it, and they'll know that you've got their best interest at heart, and that's all they care about, because there's so many people out there trying for their money, aiming for their money, trying to get their money out of their pocket, but they will be willing. People don't like to be sold, but people love to buy things. So, that's so important to realize, is that sometimes it's easy to sell people when they know you, love you, and trust you. And trusting could just be showing them what you do. You did, and like say, hey, it's out. And then, when you say you're going to take down a page, take down that freaking page. That's one thing that why people are like, Matt, I don't do replays, and I tell people, and I don't send out a replay. I do webinars. And when you go to the page, it says, sorry, this is, sorry, I said there was going to be no replays. You go to the page and there's no replay. The page is down. When you say you're going to take down something, take it down. And then tell everybody. And I tell people, like, hey, look, I told you I'm gonna take it down. I took it down, by the way. And then on the page, you'll say, like, I took it down, just like I said, by the way, since you missed this, maybe, this might be of interest to you. Always give them something else. If not, you're a turd, because people are like, man, just because they miss out, and people hate missing out. But if they did miss out, I might say, well, by the way, I have this free list building club. Go over there and just join. It's free. Give them something else to do, because they've already took that thing. If you just say it's over, and then people are going to get upset and just get mad, but just give them something else. Like, oh, but by the way, I got this brand new report, that I haven't released to anybody else, but since you're a little late, you can go ahead and check it out first.
Yeah. And so that all falls under what you define as an ethical marketing umbrella, right? That's basically, that's the ethical part. And
it should always be anyway. I mean, you got to go to bed at night. You got to sleep at night. Nothing kills.
No, I wasn't saying not being ethical.
Yeah.
I was saying some people take that word and don't know exactly, okay, what does that mean? Does that mean never lie? And then if, yes, right? Basically.
Yeah. I mean, tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Yeah, to tell the truth 100% and stick by, because what happens is, with Scarcity, for example, you have the 12 seats, right? And then you get a call. Well, it's less for digital. It's more for digital marketers and then coaches than for agencies. But you get somebody on your team says, yeah, but we have 5 more people want to buy. And then you're in a dilemma. You can add 5 more seats to the room, but you said no. And you're saying, and I completely agree with you, stick by what you said, and it will pay off.
You put up that's the other thing. So if I was in that situation, the first thing that went to my head is, we'll put them on a waiting list. We'll let them know we have new openings. We'll let them know if we're going to do it again. And we call it a KIV inside our office. So we have this happening to us all the time. We have an offer that we have, and it gets full. What we do, we actually have a KIV list, and we have an internal KIV list, and we say that we call it Keep in View KIV. It's like, here's the people. We tell them, hey, if this reopens back up later on in life, then we will be the first to know. And that's how we keep on selling out stuff all the time, because those people have the utmost respect, because we tell them, this is what we said it is. This is true. I can't squeeze you in no matter how much you throw money you throw at me. And I will tell you, that'll keep a long lasting business.
I love it.
Have hot people in the funnel.
And I think it also goes to agencies. A lot of conversations that I know of small marketing agencies, especially beginners, they're having with their clients, and they're trying to wiggle and find a way to get into the client. And sometimes you just have to tell them, and I'm taking your advice now to a different domain, just say what it is and stick by it. Maybe you lose this client. Maybe they'll call you back when you talk again. You have a specific stand. I think it's not only about being ethical. It's also understanding that I'm not diluting myself. I'm not minimizing myself for you. I'm worth something as well. The person who is selling to you, and that's it. That is it. I'm not going to do anything to get your money. that's what I have, and then that's what I'm selling.
And it's more power. It's so much more powerful telling people, letting people know that, look, I mean, I tell people all the time, like, man, I'll tell people like, hey, when you say no, or you don't take somebody's money, it's kind of like that girl that, you like, that won't give you her time, and now you want her more.
Yeah.
I'm happily married, but I'm just telling my daughter, God, it's like boys tell her they tell her they love her all the time. Like, but it's like, oh, people want what they can't have.
Yeah. So, last question. We have another, quick rapid Q&A section, but last question before we get into that. You give advice, you help people, you're helping so many entrepreneurs, you consult. Do you remember, could be recent, could be very, from the past, a specific advice that really stuck with you that you would like to share with the listeners?
Yeah, actually. Well, this is the first thing that popped in my head. First thing popped in my head was pretty good. But let me give you something that also popped in my head was this. I was talking to somebody today. That's you guys probably all know that's listening. If you've been around the digital marketing space, you know this person. And they said, oh, you're pretty lucky because you got started so long ago. And I wrote back to them. I said, you know what? Here's something you need to know. Human nature never changes. So I say that, but that wasn't the thing that popped in my head. I just want to say that for a lot of people, because some people here right now, well, he's been doing this for so long and it's so easy for him. No, human nature never changes. So realize that and remember that, okay, for the rest of your life. But the bigger thing is this. One thing, especially when I first started and everything else, and it still runs through my operating system in my brain, is do what you fear and the money will follow. And I'm going to tell you this one thing I say to myself a lot. Now, do what you fear, ethically, right? But do what you fear, the money will follow. So if we just gave you that one tactic, or one, not tactic, it's really truth of like, hey, you say that, tell people you're going to have 20 and you only take 20 and that's it. And you say people no to others, say, hey, it's sold out, or it's, it's full. That's going to give you power. And if you fear that, do it, because it'll make you more money, because more people will be hot and hungry the next time you release it out to the people.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Great advice. So next section is a rapid Q&A, and the questions are in no way edgy, but if you feel that you don't want to answer something, just say pass and we'll pass. Okay.
All right. Never got a pass before.
No, I don't think you will. Did you get along with your parents growing up?
Interesting. My mom more than my dad, but my dad and I really get along now. So yeah, I guess that's
okay. Do you have siblings?
Yes.
Do you have a pet?
Yes.
Do you have kids? Yes,
yes.
I know you have kids.
Yes.
How old were you when your first kid was born?
Oh God.
We should ask your wife.
I was well, so here's the reason I did that. Yeah, my wife would know, but I became an instant father when I got married. So, and I look at her as my daughter since I've met her. So she was born when I was 19.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you have you got, how old was she when you became her dad?
4. She was
4. When do you wake up?
My brain wakes up at 11.
When do you go to bed?
Depends on the day. It's been changing lately, but I will tell you, my typical time is, my wife's been very amazing. I've started doing this in my dorm room, so I pretty much still live the thing. I usually wake up at 10, going to bed about 2. That's been my lifestyle until this year. Well, since COVID, it changed a little bit, but that was my routine for 20 years, over 20 something years. But I'm getting back into my old way again, 10 to 2 pretty much.
Yeah, it's probably kind of a biological clock by now. What's your ideal vacation?
I own a bunch of land. I like to go out there. That is my, I just rather be out of my land than anything else. I got waterfalls, I got caves. I was very blessed over the years to be able to acquire a lot of amazing I bought all the, I created, my brother said this one day. He's like, Matt, do you realize when I'm out at your land, I feel like I'm all those parks we played at as a kid? And I said, yeah, it kind of feels like I'm always out there. So mine's just being out in my own, land.
Nice. Are you a man of faith?
Yes.
Okay. Those are all the questions. Thank
Okay.
you Thank you, Matt. You were awesome. So much great advice. I really appreciate it. I also really appreciate the way you were so eloquent about some of the points, especially about creating your own brand with your own uniqueness and being unique. I'm going back to that because I hear it nonstop. I honestly think it's one of the biggest issues of people starting up. And I really appreciated your answers, and you're awesome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here, and everybody, I hope you guys got some value, at least took one or two good gold nuggets out of here.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into another episode of the Marketing Umbrella Podcast, where we provide the information you need from successful leading marketers to build and grow your digital marketing agency. Your host has been Inamar Shafir, founder and CEO of Umbrella, the technology platform and brand that is powering thousands of marketing agencies around the country. Find him at umbrellaus.com.